Hello, fellow CIT 230 students. My name is Matt Prina, and this is my student presentation. So, let's see here. So just to introduce myself, my name is Matt Prina. I live in Orem, Utah. I'm a web design development major, and I like croquet, among other things. But excited for this presentation to teach you guys a little bit about CSS Keyfram Animations. It's something that I've been wanting to learn a little bit more about, so I'm glad that this assignment kind of forced me to do that. So just to give you a little outline of the course of the presentation, I'm just going to do a little introduction to the subject matter, talk a little bit about putting keyframes into your CSS, what that means, the animation property, which animates. So first dictionary or something pictured for you. Think about different session. Number one, everything happens. So it's kind of like showing how this works. So I made a little CodePen for this, and it's actually my first time using CodePen. It's been pretty fun. It's easy to use. So we're going to start with something simple, a blue box. And so in your HTML, you're just going to make a div and give it the class of box. And then in your CSS, you can just put a little bit of padding on your body here, and then give the box some style. So just gave it an inline block, so it's positioned right there. Position relative. That's a color, a nice blue color that I use a lot for work, and I like that color. Just a square, width of 200, height of 200, and then this animation stuff is just there as a reference, but I'll get into that a little bit later. So start out at keyframes, and you're going to give it, let's give it a name of expand. So kind of the animation that I wanted to illustrate here, just for practice sake. One of my favorite websites here, lds.org. They have a little search bar up here, and when you click on the search bar, if you click on this button, or if you just click inside the bar, it shoots out and expands really fast, so you can type your search query in there. You click on that, and it will shrink back up again. So that's an example of an animation. It's something that's changing in appearance over a period of time. And so let's see if we can make something like that happen. Something even remotely close to that. So the name of the animation, we're going to call it expand, because we're going to try to get this blue square to kind of do what that box did in the lds.org. And then inside of that, we're going to do a bracket. And then we're going to do 2 from. Excuse me. 2 bracket, and then from bracket. Then we're going to put some stuff inside of those. So to start out with, let's give it a width of 200 pixels, just like you would in a normal CSS declaration. And then in the from, let's give it a width of, let's say, 800 pixels. Let's see what happens. Look at that. So we're getting something here, but maybe not quite what we want quite yet. But you can see that this is showing there's a 2, which is kind of the starting point, and then there's a from, which is this other keyframe, and there's kind of stuff happening in between. Okay, I did that backwards, that's why it's looking weird. So it's from, to. Okay, So it's starting from there, and it's going to there. And it's just kind of repeating for right now, but we're going to get to a point where we can just get it to stop at the end. So there's some other cool stuff you can do with this. Like you can, instead of saying from and to, you can do like 0% to 100%. But you could like throw some other stuff in between. Do like 50%. We want it to, or like 50%, or even like 30% to 70%. Let's say we want it to be at a width of 400 pixels. It's going to give it the appearance now that maybe that it's kind of pausing in the middle from 30 to 70% of this timeline. So you can do some fun stuff with the from, to, or with the percentages there. For now we're just going to do 2 keyframes, 0% to the 100%. Now from there we need to customize this animation a little bit. I'll show you how to do that. So let's go back to our presentation and kind of look at how we can tie those keyframes to an animation that we can customize. So let's see here. Boom. Okay, so the animation property. So here's the syntax that you're going to set up in your CSS document, and this one will actually go inside of your selector. So in our situation, it's the dot box that we're styling, and this is the shorthand, but we can list it out: animation dash name, animation dash duration, animation dash timing function. So they're different declarations if you want to do it that way. For starters, when you're learning, but then eventually you can just use the bar and expand. 3 seconds over some of these. Let's try it out. Let's go back to the code pen. And I'm going to go ahead and I have I've already copied some stuff to my clipboard, so I'm just going to paste these in here. So instead of using this shorthand, we're going to write all these out. I'll just delete this here, this placeholder, and let's start customizing this animation. So the name is going to be expand. That's how we link that to our keyframes. The animation duration, we could do, if we want it to be really fast, like the one on lds.org, that's probably what, like 100 milliseconds or something like that. For now, for illustration purposes, we're going to keep it kind of long so you can see what's happening. So we'll keep it at 5 seconds. The timing function, you can do normal, you can do ease in. So it kind of eases and starts getting faster towards the end. Ease out, where it starts fast and then it gets slower towards the end. Slow this down. Ease in, out is kind of a nice smooth transition, so we'll use that one. Animation delay, just to illustrate this a little bit, let's give it a 3-second delay. Oh, it's just a box. 1, 2, 3. Boom. And it starts showing it. We're just going to keep that at 0 seconds for this. And then the iteration count, right now you can see it's on a loop. It's just going and going and going. Let's just do 1. Just does it once. So, boom. Once. And then for the animation direction, just did normal. Let's see what that does. We'll go, it'll do the animation. Show this. So go and do the animation. Then it goes back to its normal state. If we change this to forward, let's see how that changes it. Oh, sorry, animation direction is which direction it's going. So let's try, see here. So in this one, it'll just be normal, actually. This is where it just goes, it's normal route. But you could do like alternate. Watch what that does. Kind of go back and forth. Well, if you have multiple iterations. Oops. So you can kind of see what that does. So alternating, goes out, comes back, goes out again. But if you have 3 iterations and it's just normal, then it just does it 3 times, going forward every time. One, two, three. And then it goes back to just the square. So this fill mode, if you change that, that's the one you change to forwards. It stays, it'll just stay. We'll change this back to 2 or whatever. So it does it once, does it again, and it's going to stay at the long, elongated state, like this. This one's not going back and forth and back and forth. You just click it and it stays out there. So that's what that forwards is. And then the play state is running. So say we're alternating, we're doing this a bunch of times, but then all of a sudden if you change this play state to paused, it's stuck. Stuck at the squares. Change it back to running. Should go. Alright, sorry about that. My internet went out for a second, but I was wondering why that wasn't working. But so yeah, now you'll see if we refresh the page, it expands. The iteration count is 2 still, so it's going to do it one more time. And then it's going to stop at the end because the animation fill mode is set to forwards. Okay. So there's your animation. We pretty much have kind of what you see here. If something shoots out. Now you'll want to learn some triggers with JavaScript, so you can basically get a click and get something to animate with a click. But that's another lesson for another day. So now you know how to build your keyframes and you know how to build your animations. So let's go back here. And the takeaways from this presentation are basically what we just went through. So just review the syntax for the keyframes and the animations, and from that point it's pretty easy. There's some great videos online about how to trigger the animation with some basic JavaScript. And then just a final reminder to use your animations responsibly. You don't want to have a website with animations just going off all over the page. It's not good for your user experience, but good subtle animations can be used for buttons or some kind of user involvement to engage on your page. So let's go and just take one more glance at the code here just as a final reminder. So build your keyframes, super easy, at keyframes. Put the name of it, and then just a regular bracket, and kind of build these out as you would a normal CSS declaration. And you can do from and to, and then put your declarations inside there, or you can do different percentages, which are basically the different keyframes of your animation. If you think back to the flipbook example. And then for your animation, again, once you got this pattern down, you can change this